Rose.
Let's go. Hey,
Yes, sir.
by the way, everybody out there, hey, happy May the 4th be with you.
May the
I'm rocking
4th.
my Jawas t-shirt today. Why not? Let's go. R2, dude.
I was told that I need more props for the show. So yeah, here we go, baby.
Where'd you get that little R2D2 at, man? That's dope.
I got this at the was it the episode 9 premiere or whatever. This is actually a popcorn thing. So
really? Oh, that's
awesome.
Yeah, so I can
Comes out his butt, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Then also like it's a straw right here. This is a cup for the drink and stuff. So.
Oh, what a trip.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing.
A nerd, dude.
Honestly, though, I totally admit. So when I was watching episode 9 of Star Wars or whatever like that, I hated that movie too, like no other, like that. Like I honestly wanted just to take the thing and just slam it on the ground and start stomping on it in the middle of the theater, just cause a scene, and just like start kicking it, and so like I don't know,
you were so upset about it.
I was but instead I just decided to clutch it. Yeah. So yes,
I'll say Andor so far has been pretty solid season 2.
Pretty solid.
So there's some wins and some losses in the Star Wars
definitely
game right now.
Yes, sir.
And I did see Thunderbolts. That was actually a pretty good movie. I was kind of surprised. I didn't expect it to be that good. It was a lot better than expected. We'll leave it at that.
I've not gone to the theater in a long time.
I know. Is this a Marvel Universe type of podcast?
Whatever. Hey,
apparently Disney Universe is
all podcast. That's a different podcast. We'll talk about that later. No big deal,
guys.
Kevin Feige is a visionary, guys. Anyways, just joking. All right, we got to talk about the Chargers.
Let's talk about the Chargers. I want to show a quick screen before we go into the intro. Once again, I just kind of wanted to point this out. This is on the Pat McAfee show. They showed our boy director's tweet about a Marian Hampton and how huge he was. Yes, that is a little bit of a skewed photo. It's the angle, the magic of photography and everything, but it's pretty cool to be able to see Marian Hampton.
That's a giant walking into this into it, by the way. Yeah.
But it's cool to see that the director got shot out on Pat McAfee. So
he got some love, dude. He got some
love, dude, which is pretty dope. So
that's
just
amazing.
Wanted to throw that out there real quick, guys. But man, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk a lot about what the coaches are saying post-draft. Are we ready for 2025?
Are we ready?
And man, we built ready. We built ready. Yeah. So we'll just talk about it in the details of what they talked about this week on various podcasts that they were on today. So,
all right, plenty.
Let's get it,
guys. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
Let's go.
What's up, Pyramid, man? You watching the Boat Bros podcast. Stay tuned.
Shout out blue dreams, stadium lights gleam. Boat Bros on the beat, lead stream. Chargers rocking speeds, Sonic supreme. From the podcast to the field, we're a team. Charged up, Boat Bros on the night. LA Thunder in electric delight. Bullets in the battle, sparking bright. Charged up, ride the lightning, feel the fright.
Okay. Man. So hey, we got to do a new intro for this new season too. We got to figure that out.
It was kind of funny. I was thinking about that while I was watching that video, and I was like, I kind of like our intro. I could say we could check out maybe the players if we get them to get a shout out.
Yeah.
Yes.
I kind of like our intro right now.
I like this. The song might stay the same. We might add a few things to change for the like the edit or something like that. But yeah. There's not too much that we need to change. I don't know. I'm kind of good with it for a little bit,
I'm feeling good about it, man. How cool maybe we could get SoFi Stadium during the game to present our intro and our song.
Oh, that's what we need.
There you go. Yeah, we'll just give it to the Chargers. Hey, we just use this for the game. Throw
it out. Why not?
No. I love that. Yeah. So Grandizer talked about the undrafted free agents here. We'll probably do videos on each one of these as well. We kind of want to bleed them out. We thought about talking about it today, but let's just do an individual video. I think each one of them deserve their flowers. You know what I mean? So we'll probably start bleeding those out these next 2 weeks. We still have a few more from today.
Steve-O Klotz is a guy that you got to keep an eye on, dude. Watch his video on his Instagram of him just trucking people.
Yeah.
Bro, this guy could be a pure fullback, but he will be known as a tight end, essentially.
Yeah.
This guy's ridiculous.
Like Tucker Fisk. Just a mean dude.
Yeah.
Guys, well, anyways, we'll talk more about it. But actually, in the chat, how ready do you think well, obviously we're not ready to play football today. Yes, yet. No. But how is our roster looking to you? Are you feeling good about our roster where we sit? Because I'll tell you, man, even the undrafted free agents look pretty good to me. I feel like, do you think part of the reason why we got so many undrafted free agents is because we also have the Hall of Fame game as well? Nope. I mean, that's nationally televised. People are going to get a lot of flowers on that if they perform well. Yep. What do you guys think?
100%. And that's where I was kind of saying is like, we got so many guys on the squad because now they could add tape to their, resume essentially. A 4-game, you could probably wonder it, and I didn't even look at it, but if you look at probably like the Lions and seeing what the Lions got for undrafted free agents too, they might have got a pretty big stack of undrafted free agents also too. But once again, when you have four preseason games, generally those guys want to find a way to get on there, get on the squad because they're going to get some playing time. If you have only 3 games, DJ Ugiula or whatever his name is, I can never say the dude's last name.
Oh, it's Ungalule or something like that. I believe that's what it is.
Nailed it.
Totally nailed it, bro. Yeah.
I can say the Hawaiian fish. Humu nuku nuku apawaha. That's the Hawaiian fish. I can say that. It took me hours to get that down. I still got it.
I still ain't.
I can ride a bicycle too, guys.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
But I mean, bottom line, he will probably get some play time in the first preseason game because they're not going to really put a lot of focus on a lot of other quarterbacks. So he's going to want to show some tape to possibly find his way on a roster somewhere or another.
Yeah.
So he's a prime example of what that 4th game means to somebody.
Jorge's still upset at you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Guys, again,
actually, Jorge, of all of us bros, I was the only one to get one player correct in our mock drafts.
Yeah, but you
at
need
all.
An asterisk next to be you got a Marian Hampton in the 2nd round. We knew he wasn't going to fall that far. No way. No way that's going to happen.
That's just the way it worked out, baby. That's just the way it worked out, baby. It's all good. Yeah.
Anyways, it's good stuff.
It's interesting because that Marian Hampton pickup, man, is bigger and bigger and bigger as you've kind of learned a little bit more about it. And we could talk about some of the coaches here too, but I wanted to
picture again real quick too, by the way. Yeah, go back to that one picture because just before you go on that thought there, a lot of people. I was actually having this conversation with some of my Raider fans and Raider friends, and some of them might be listening. Carlos, if you're listening in, hey, what's up, buddy? But bottom line, we talked about the draft. He's like, oh, Genty's so much better. And I said, yeah, but he's kind of small. He's 5'8". And he was like, yeah, I guess that's true. I said, look, Marian Hampton is a big dude. And I referenced this exact photo. And I said, look, he wants to protect Justin Herbert. He's going to lay out an edge. Any blitzer, he's going to hit him hard. And so there's value in that. And I said, look, they're 2 different runners. Anyways, I get it. Generational talent. But Marian Hampton's what Jim Harbaugh wants to protect Justin Herbert and get him the ball. And guys, JK Dobbins might be coming back. I know you did a video on that, James.
Yep.
Dude,
we'll talk about that here shortly too.
Okay, good. That's good. So anyhow.
Yeah. And the whole thing about the Marian Hampton pickup too, like it adds a second physical back all around to this team.
Big time.
And you're getting a guy for the long-term future too. I mean, the guy, and even some people talked about the difference between Ashton Genty production versus Marian Hampton is very slim. Like, in some ways, you're going to get more out of a Marian Hampton than Genty. One stat that I kind of looked at, too, is Genty obviously carried the ball like 1,000 times, I swear, last season because he was pretty much everything.
Well,
Marian Hampton
was too.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But there was a lot of fumble situations, too, that he had at Boise State. Marian Hampton only had 1 fumble last year. I think in the last 2 years, I think it's only like 4 fumbles in the last 2 years. So this guy is going to be a dog for this team, and we're excited about him, man. We're very excited about him.
Grandizer, he's calling me out. Andrew, we always say we'll talk about it shortly, but you rarely do. Hey, look, we got all kinds of topics.
That's funny.
Let's relax. Let's just take a step back. Let's relax a little bit. Okay.
Sometimes we
eat a couple Blue Chews and sit back and relax and enjoy the show, my guy. Come on now.
That's awesome.
So good. But I do want to jump a little bit on the Raiders side of things. And I thought I was giggling at this whole entire chart of what they positional tier rankings after the NFL draft. And obviously this guy is a Raiders fan because look at this right here. This guy right here.
Yep.
Oh, crayons out.
Crayons out. Oh,
man, you are still...
Oh man, you got to keep it within the lines.
Why don't you just do an underline? Why don't you just underline it?
I
A little check or something. I don't know.
Okay, all right, here we go. The guys would be specific.
So hard to watch.
It's so easy. Oh,
there you go.
It cuts out of the screen, dude. It cuts out of the screen.
Hey, man, you got to keep it inside the lines, bro. That's all you got to do. Yeah,
that looks much better.
I thought it was pretty funny looking at this chart because it's obviously very Raiders biased in a lot of ways.
100%. Yeah.
So you're saying that Geno Smith is second tier to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, crazy.
You're putting Bo Nix as the worst in the division, who's probably outplayed even after 1 year Geno Smith in his career pound for pound, and Justin Herbert the third tier. You're putting Geno over. Come on now. Running back room, you go from one of the worst running backs rooms to you're thinking that Ashton Genty's going to make you the best running back room. I think that's kind of ridiculous. I could say the Broncos are probably one of the worst. Chiefs, I would probably put them more at 2. Raiders at 3, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of this. You're putting the wide receiver group of Raiders at 2, and I'm thinking, okay, you got Jack Besh, and then Jacoby Myers, and that's about it.
I would say
ridiculous.
The only one there that makes any sense to me would be maybe tight end.
Tight end, exactly.
Yeah. Because they have 2 really good tight ends.
Right.
Yep.
But that would be it. I don't even think the edges make sense, and definitely not even running backs at this point. And look, if you're saying Genty's better than Marian Hampton and he hasn't had an NFL snap once, it's come on, dude. You can't say that. And their offensive line was terrible last year. They are going to be. By the way, I have to admit this. So the Raiders draft was really good.
Really good.
Really good.
Surprisingly pretty good. Yeah.
Well, they got adults in the room, and that kind of makes me sad to some degree. I mean, but look. It's going to be a competitive division. So, look, you could argue all day that that's good and bad in different ways. It just means those 4 teams in the AFC West are going to be pretty tight. So,
it will be.
It's going to be good. They know what they're doing.
Even to say one thing and to harp a little bit on the running back room. Our running back 1 and 2 at this point, you got a first-round pick with Najee Harris, and then now you got a first-round pick of Marian Hampton. That is clearly going to be the best running back group in the league right now. And it's crazy to me that I see a lot of people talking about the Chargers O-line, about how it could be one of the best O-lines in the NFL. Yeah. And that's essentially because of just the Marian Hampton. And if you want to say the Andre James pickup, I don't know if that's going to be it or not, but just with the Mekhi Becton pickup is going to make that line even more stable all around. Cool fact too, they did try to pick up. Well, actually, I'll talk about that with Joe Hortiz too down the road, and we will actually talk about that down.
Well, are we going to talk about Zion Johnson, by the way?
You could talk about that with the whole situation ahead.
Yeah,
but if you want to now, you can.
We'll talk about it later. But I thought it was interesting we didn't pick.
Will we though? Will we talk about it later?
Yeah, that's a good point. Hey, what we want to talk about? Okay, this is a variety show. It's a variety show.
Don't be getting off script now, bro. Don't be getting off script now.
Always off script. And as Miguel says, like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. Stay organized, bro. All right, my bad.
That's right. Miguel. He keeps us a focus. Honestly, my Thursday night show, man, I'm all over the map. That's all I know. That's for sure.
You need to take some Adderall before you hop on.
Maybe I should. I'll kind of crush it up and then just do a line, first.
Yeah, there you go.
That might be easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, oh my God. These are fire, by the way. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Well, we'll see if that's going to be the special edition. I don't think it will be, but the idea of it is that Chargers will have a special edition jerseys, which is called the NFL Nike Rivalries jerseys. So think of what the City Connect jerseys are to the baseball MLB.
Yeah.
It's also I cannot remember the name of the ones that they have for the jerseys for basketball too, but they kind of make adjustment type jerseys that are special edition type jerseys. I assume they're going to be jerseys that they're going to play against their rivals in their division. It's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be cool to see what the heck they do. But this year is going to be the first year they're going to do the NFL rivals.
Yep.
But the Chargers will have special edition jerseys in 2027. So we'll see what it's going to be.
Let me ask you a question though. Does every team have a special edition jersey? Because okay.
Yep.
So it's
but
going to be
goes by like division, and so like I think with our division, well, in 2027 it's going to be AFC West, and I think it's like the NFC East will be doing their special editions. I could be wrong on the NFC, but it's usually an AFC NFC rival edition jersey that year that will be presented. So, and I don't know if it's going to be a continuous thing. That they're going to do every single year, if it's going to be one-off type thing. But we've seen so many variations of jerseys out there. It'd be interesting to be able to see what they decide to do.
Yeah, they want to sell jerseys, man. They don't care, and look, the City Connect jerseys. I mean, Padres City Connect jerseys are so popular. I see so many replicas of that jersey everywhere.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm a savage playing softball, as we know, and so I always see people, copying those jerseys. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, hey. Remember that movie Spaceballs, The Search for More Money, right?
Yeah.
Merchandising, right? And what's his name? Yogurt.
Yeah.
Yogurt. I'm just plain yogurt.
Just plain
yogurt. Again, that's how you sell more stuff. And that's anyways, it's all about money, boys. We all know it.
Let me show this one real quick. This could be a potential idea that they do. I don't know. This is obviously a crossover here. It's like a hockey jersey, but it's also Chargers set up and stuff. It's actually pretty sweet. I actually kind of want to get one of those, especially if we go to a hockey game out here or something, bro. That'd be pretty fun, actually.
Yeah, we definitely need to go to a hoppy game. I said hoppy game.
A hoppy game,
Hoppy game. But I'm having a little mild stroke over here. No big deal.
Oh, hey, ain't nothing new there.
But
one other thought they could be is that could use the gold and white and blue ones that we've seen a lot, those are the unofficial jersey there, that'd be pretty cool.
Have they announced the alternate helmets?
That's supposed to be happening this year, and I assume that's probably going to be with the schedule release. They're probably going to say something about alternate helmets, but I have not seen anything yet officially on the alternate helmets or officially what they are.
Yeah, let me Google, because I know they were talking about it. I don't see anything.
There's nothing right now. I haven't seen anything. I think it's going to be probably something with the schedule release, because they're going to say, like last year, remember the schedule release video that they did? They kind of showed off like the old full Navy type helmets from the 90s.
Oh, and nice.
That would be kind of cool if they end up doing that with basically adding it to the whole alternate helmets that we could do. But this is the first year they could do alternate helmets. So
yeah, because there was only, I think, 13 teams last year that got it done.
Yep. And Houston did like kind of alternate jerseys too, which I felt like was a little bit of like a rivalry type thing too. I think the Titans are also getting new jerseys this year too, which I read about too. So it's kind of interesting, man. But Nike loves to change things up and make things great. But I'll say right now, Chargers jerseys are still the best jerseys in the league.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
Let's go. Hands down on that one.
Yep. 100%. Oh,
yeah.
Let's put some bolts in the chat, because we got the best jerseys in the NFL. Faux show.
Yep.
But kind of moving forward a little bit here too.
Oh, hold up. I got one more option here. This one actually looks pretty sweet.
Show something else? Okay.
Yeah. Here we go, real quick. Yeah. So something like that could even be dope. Yeah, because we talked about that pre-jersey stuff too. Get that orange. Or not the orange one, like that.
I was gonna say orange. I was like, what?
Oh man, see now you're stroking out, and this is making me stroke out a little bit now. Shoot,
you're stroking out on your own, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
But yeah, this would be pretty dope. We talked about this before, like when they were doing the redesigns, to maybe do a gray and then the yellow and blue. That'd be actually pretty solid right there. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, didn't they? I didn't know the Chargers ask fans if they would be okay with a black jersey.
They did. That was a end of the year survey that they're talking about. So they're testing the waters on it. Obviously, personally, I don't want that at all. That's a Raiders thing. They can have it. Our dark jersey is the Navy. Keep the Navy. That's all.
Yeah, I like the Navy too.
I have seen some black jerseys that have gold writing around the numbers and everything that I thought looked really cool with gold bolts.
Sure.
It looked real dope to me. But once again, it's too close to the Raiders, and I don't like that. So like,
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with that. So I do not want to be that close to that team. So,
Yep.
but either which way, man, like we'll see where it lands. Obviously, we'll keep you guys updated on what we see ahead. So I don't know if they're going to go too crazy with all the colorways and go completely off the rails or whatnot. So who knows?
We'll
see.
Yeah. I'm excited to see that though.
But actual photo of the Chargers' current running back room, as long as Dobbins does officially sign with this team. And, you know, the cool part of it is that like, if you had these 3 running backs in the backfield, there's a lot of things you could do. There's a couple plays that they ran last year where they had 3, I think it was 2 tight ends. I want to say it might have been Fisk and Disley with Gus Edwards in the backfield all together. Think about if you had Dobbins, Hampton, Harris, and you put 3 running backs out there, and you just have guys that like you put Dobbins in the middle of them with Hampton and Harris on the outside or whatnot. You got 2 great blockers if you want to block with them or whatnot. Have 2 guys in front of them, plus you put like Tucker Fisk on the right side of that line. Run play with 3 blockers in front of you. This would be ridiculous. So crazy to think about if that happens and JK Dobbins comes back to this team.
So maybe James, maybe recap the whole Dobbins situation because people are saying he's like not on the team. So maybe just recap what exactly happened with him because it's interesting news, guys. A very rare move by NFL teams. Yeah,
and so what it is that the Chargers put it's called basically it's like a tender, free agent tender. And essentially, they were the last team that had this player on the team. So they said, hey, look, you haven't signed anybody. And I guess after the draft, they have the ability to use that because the Browns used it on Elijah Moore, who eventually ended up signing with another team shortly after that. But he shortly signed with the Buffalo Bills. But basically what the Chargers did, put an undrafted tender on JK Dobbins saying, hey, look, we're wanting you to come back here for, I think it's $3.4 million and say, hey, look, we'll give you a 1-year deal on this right now if you want to join this team. Basically, he has up till when training camp comes up in July. I assume it's probably going to be mid-July for this team. If he doesn't sign with anybody, basically Chargers have the ability to negotiate with JK Dobbins to come back on the team. So he could essentially sign with anybody right now, but the Chargers essentially giving him a contract offer without essentially saying you have to sign this contract or whatnot. He could mull it over if he wants to. Or he can go out and find a bigger deal somewhere else. Now,
he can still shop around. That's the cool
shop
thing
around.
about it. Yeah.
And it's kind of setting a price for him, a minimum, I guess what I would say right now. And he can kind of make his decision from there. Now, Elijah Moore did sign a 1-year deal, and it was roughly about the same pricing for J.K. Dobbins. He signed like a 1-year, $5 million deal with the Bills. So basically, it's just setting a market for J.K. Dobbins at this point. And
so basically, it's called an unrestricted free agent tender.
Exactly.
So, so this is the best thing. Under the terms of the tender, the Chargers will have exclusive negotiating rights with Dobbins if he is not signed with a team at the starting of training camp. So
exactly
at the starting of training camp. So basically, just like you said, James, we're setting a number for him. Right. He would stand to make $3.4 million if he played out the year under the tender. So here's my money, and if you don't find anything better, then come back and we'll pay you 3.4. Clearly, he's wanting a longer term contract.
Sure.
So, but you know, man, look, if I'm him, think of it this way. You got 3 running backs in that room. You don't have to carry the entire load.
Right.
Just make the most out of the snaps you get, dude. Make your 3 million, and then just get 4 or 5 million next year. You know, if you stay healthy, right? So, I don't know. To me, it makes sense for him, but you know, again, maybe he can get a $5 million I mean, I kind of doubt it, but you know, we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like I do admit like that. What I'm concerned about most about this running back room is the fact that we have so many great running backs. Like, there's not going to be that many yards to go around. I mean, when has there ever been a 2,000 yard running back room?
Yeah,
I don't think so. I mean, that would be amazing if it would happen, though. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, it won't happen a whole lot. Well, it depends.
Yeah.
Again, the wide receiver room got better. Our tight end room got better, right?
Exactly.
So offensively, we got better across the board. So, one last thought, though. It does look like if any team, the rumor is that he might go to the Bears, and we'll see how that plays out.
I also heard the Chiefs, and I also heard the Broncos, and I also heard the Raiders too. So it's just the thing is, though, there's a lot of teams out there that could go out and get some feelers on him and probably pick him up for a little bit more. But bottom line, the whole thing is, though, it's like it's setting a market for JK Dobbins.
Correct.
And this is the minimum at this point. And so I would love it if JK comes back. I mean, personally, exactly. HH4 brought up Sproles, Turner, and Tomlinson. That's exactly what this would be. A situation like that.
For
like
sure.
you have very, very strong running back room to be able to just produce high level. Now, one's going to be a bell cow. I mean, personally, my opinion, I think it's going to eventually be like, think of it like this way. Take each year as a third, essentially. Let's say go heavy on JK Dobbins and Najee Harris at first. And then you got Marian Hampton, kind of sprinkle them in there. Then you kind of shift it to JK Dobbins, Marian Hampton, Najee for a second third of the year, and then eventually maybe Hampton will be the 1, JK 2, Najee 3 kind of thing. Maybe that's what they end up doing. Having more fresh legs in the running back room when you want a running back heavy type offense. This is big. This is huge. This would be a great move for this team to make sure you solidify a solid running back room for this team. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see if it lands that way. I'd love to be able to see that 3-headed dragon like what we showed.
Yeah. Right.
So Grant Ezra likes, he say, hey, we got Raheim Sanders from South Carolina. He's a scheme fit. Yeah, and I get it. And again, it's going to boil down. I will say this. We're going to have some hard cuts. There's going to be some cuts that are going to be really, really 100%. Tough for this team. Yeah. And there's only so many I mean, how many people we got on the roster right now? 92?
Yeah, easily over the 90 players. That's for sure. Yeah. So,
I mean,
and they got the rookie camp coming up too, and they're signing people to the rookie camps and everything too right now. And so I think Monday is actually when their camp starts up. I remember that they ended up talking about with the, that's what Jim Harbaugh talked about on some of the podcasts that we'll chat about here shortly. So, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to be able to see this team develop and see this team potentially get bigger and better and everything. And I think, to be honest, our running back rooms could be an absolute nightmare for the NFL, and especially with our O-line. And our O-line, I think, is going to be a huge part of this whole puzzle. Obviously, tip of the spear, right?
Tip of the spear. Hey, we got a big question from Miguel though. Here is it?
Of
the three of us, who's the bell cow?
That'd be me.
Well, why? Because you are the size of a cow? Is that what
no? Oh my god! Because I can lift a cow, man. I'm strong. That's right.
You get the strumpf. Yeah.
I got the strumpf. I got the strumpf and the strumpf. I got all that. You know it, Miguel. You know it. More cowbell.
Nice.
That's great. That's great. But I'm excited to be able to see what happens here and find out who actually is the bell cow. So for the Chargers. So
fine. There you go.
Hey, I like that. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Just for you, Andy.
That was a good one, dude. That was a good one. But if you saw, we posted out that Chef Hortiz was on the Pat McAfee show. And I thought it was a pretty funny comment that he made and talked about how he's like, I hate Justin Herbert. He's just because it's like he's such a lovable dude. The dude is smart. The guy's got talent for days, super athletic. The guy does everything right. He's like, I hate this guy because you want to find something that you would hate about this dude, and you can't. He's just so dang good and so proficient at what he is. And bottom line, Joe Hortiz is excited about having Justin Herbert on this team, and he is beyond ecstatic to be able to have him on there. I mean, think of a reason why Jim Harbaugh came here, got a crown jewel with Justin Herbert. And, obviously there's no reason to go look for a quarterback when you got a guy like that. So,
and he's so talented. Right. And again, I've said this over and over again. I feel like we've always done him a disservice and never really put a team around him. Sure. Like not a great offensive line, but we haven't had adults in the room. Brandon Staley was a dingleberry, right? Ron Tabasco was a super big dingleberry, right? And so I'm just saying, like, there was no real leadership there. There was no future. There was no vision. It was just like, let's just make decisions as they go. And I'm like, man, come on, like focus on what's the plan? What's the focus? And so, I think this team has an identity. They know what they want to be.
Yeah.
And they're out there executing.
Mm-hmm. They got a whole like overall game plan that they want to execute, and they're doing it the best that they can for sure, man. We got the running back room situated. We got like tight ends. We got some big old boys, butt and gut, thighs and buys. Thighs and buys. That's right, man.
Well, and again, I really think our offensive line was really solidified by Mekhi Becton, right? And again, you got Jamari Sawyer, you got Zion Johnson, and we got Andre James. I think that offensive line is going to be great. That's enough people there that you're going to make that line as solid as possible.
Yep.
So, look, it's going to be great. And I really like everyone else we scooped up on the draft. And man, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
The one thing that he also chatted about in the interview too, he's obviously talked about the Marian Hampton pick. And he's like, look, man, he was our guy that we wanted pretty much. And he was the guy that people were trying to trade up to get to 22. And the Eagles brought out a video showing that Howie Rosen, something like that. I can't remember his name now. But Howie, the GM from basically the Eagles, called over to Joe Hortiz and said, hey, man, what does it take to go up to 22? Hortiz said, well, I need to get your 32nd pick, your 64 pick minimum, and, whatever else he asked at that point. So basically there was a trade on the table, and there was other teams asking to trade up to 22. And ultimately the Chargers thought of it and said, hey, look, we got our guy that we need right now. We're okay with taking him at 22 right now. And we don't want to have that risk of leaving him away in 2. And so interesting thing in this interview too, he did talk about just kind of his idea. He's like, we stack our players 1 to 200. And, we go in that order. And when we're on the clock, he was the guy kind of thing. And essentially that's what Marian Hampton was at that point. They had 1 to 200. Okay, next guy. Okay, that's our guy. Pick him. Do we feel we could pick him now, or do you feel we could trade back or whatnot? Like, I would love to pick Joe Hortiz's brain to be able to just look at how he manages that 1 to 200 type list and like what dictates that and what kind of grades do you use? Like, I would love to be able to understand those type of things. And it's great to see.
I would have definitely told him, you could totally get Hampton at 55. Yeah, you'd be all right.
Well, it's funny that you bring up the Eagles, because I think the Eagles got the guy they drafted first. I'm drawing a blank on his name. I think they traded up. They wanted to trade up to get him as well.
They did.
So, and then they ended up getting him anyways. And so he dropped all the way down to them anyhow. So that was kind of his, I don't know if they waited. I don't know if they thought the Chargers were going to get him or what. I am drawing a complete blank.
It was Jahad Campbell. Yeah.
Oh, Jahad Campbell. That's right. Yes.
They wanted to trade up for him, and they still got him at 32 or 31, I think it was.
See, and I think that's where the draft is so interesting, right? Because, like, why was Kyle Kennard in the 5th round? The guy was
4th round.
Fourth round. Sorry, 4th round. Yeah, I should know that. I did the video on him, but he should have been there. Keandre Lattimore-Smith should not have been there in the 5th round, right? Because he was, they're prolific, wide receivers and edges, and it just happens, right? Some people are not system fit, whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I find that's what I find interesting about the draft. So
I agree. But I loved kind of seeing and picking the brain of Joe Hortiz and just hearing his strategies of things. But bottom line, I think we got a fantastic draft. Joe Hortiz, Jim Harbaugh did a phenomenal job all around. The more you start looking at the whole filled out room of, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the offensive side of things. I mean, awesome to see. I can't remember which podcast it was, but somebody went out to dinner a week before the draft with Greg Roman. And Greg Roman said specifically during that dinner, he said, hey, look, we got to get Justin Herbert more weapons. Bottom line, we have got to. That is our disservice. We need to make sure he has as many weapons as he possibly can. And essentially that's what Joe Hortiz did. He got as many weapons. I thought he was going to go a little bit more heavier on the defensive side, but he went heavy on the offensive side.
True.
And which is great. I mean, I think it's really just leading into a room of wide receivers, running backs that Jim Harbaugh and Herbert could basically grow with too. The H's are confusing me. Hortiz, Herbert, Harbaugh. Oh my.
Go Harbaugh. Go Harbaugh.
Hampton. Yeah.
Hampton.
Well, but Crispy had a good point here. I feel like we went a little too heavy on the offense. Hopefully, Bosa doesn't hurt us too badly. See, I would argue that the defense is already where it needed to be.
Yep.
I think we picked up everything we needed in the defensive line. It's funny because I remember I watched everyone's ranking of the Chargers. I saw so many people say that we had the worst draft in the AFC West.
That's
I'm like, what?
Ridiculous.
I keep thinking, I'm like, they're not paying attention to the two defensive line when we scooped up Hand and what's the other guy's name? I'm just sort of blanking his name. Because we lost Puna Ford. Like, oh yeah, you didn't do enough to get Puna Ford. I'm like, look, the problem is you don't need a guy like Puna. Puna Ford had a great season, but you could also make the argument that the defense was good. And he was a good run stopper because of Jesse Minster's defense and what he does. Yep. He's not asking, that guy to sack the quarterback. He's asking to block, destruct, and also, stop the run. That was it. Yep. It's all, but he got his bags. He moved on. I think you can plug and play a lot of people in that position.
Yep.
Well, I feel like people are, bagging on us about having a bad draft because they think that it was a terrible pick to get Marian Hampton in the first round, probably. Because how the money moves are for running backs and how cheap they are and stuff. That's why, like, a lot of people probably are saying that because, you don't need to get a running back in the first round for money purposes. Yep. And most people aren't necessarily going to run a run heavy offense this day and age and stuff, especially when we have Justin Herbert. And that's probably what I could see. But it doesn't make any sense to me. When you got someone like Marian Hampton, who I actually believe is the best running back of the draft. He's way better than Gene T. Comes from a better school, trained better from a freaking Chargers legend. Natron means he's bigger in size and all that stuff. So that's just it. That's just my thoughts on that one.
Well, and he does fit what we want to do.
Yeah, and that's exactly
that's
much better scheme fit. For sure.
Yeah, and again, the pass protection, you cannot understate how important that is when he's out there and then he lays out a linebacker that's going to come after Justin Herbert. That makes him go, crap, dude, I don't want to blitz anymore, or a cornerback comes over 180 pounds soaking wet and gets hit by, a 220-pound freight train, so I'm just saying, like, that makes a big difference.
No doubt.
Yeah, here you go.
Sir, what's up, my guy? $4.99, dude.
$4.99 on the out of your mind. Yeah.
So this is to Kyle and Andrew. Most likely to happening, Hampton 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, or Ladd 1,600 yards and 14 touchdowns. Stay tuned for my predictions soon. So which is most likely to happen? The 1,200 yards from Hampton, 10 touchdowns, or Ladd 1,600 yards, 14 touchdowns?
I would say Hampton for sure of those two. Yeah, I mean –
yeah,
I mean 1,600 yards. That's asking for a lot with 14 touchdowns, especially with this offense where they like to run the ball a lot more. I mean that would mean that Ladd is the wide receiver one position as well. He's the target all the time, and like I don't see
is though. He probably is.
Yeah, I mean I don't know.
I think he will be.
Yeah.
Well, but he always creates separation. That's why people like him. Yeah. Well, I'll make another prediction. I don't know that we get Keenan Allen this year, which is kind of a bummer to me. With all the people that we scooped up and just the way the draft fell. I'm going to hurt your feelings a little bit here, Aether, though. I don't think either one of those happen. Because I think you got if especially if JK Dobbins comes back, right? We got Najee Harris. Even if we just have Najee Harris and Hampton, they're going to split carries. They're at best going to have 900 yards each running back.
If you could get 3 running backs at 900 yards, you're cooking.
Yeah,
you're cooking.
Well, I'm just saying, like, they're just not going to run the ball.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. They're going to get certain snaps.
I think you should make a bet. I think you should make a bet with Aether here. Yeah.
Miguel.
I think this is it right here. Yeah, I think
I smell a bank incoming.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy. Oh,
Hey, I
boy.
made $20 on the Shadur Sanders not getting drafted in the top 15. I should have put $1,000.
Kyle, you lost a bet though. You lost a bet with was it LOD?
I lost a bet with LOD. That's for sure. You know, and I paid him. I proved it.
You got paid. You got his money.
He got paid. Yeah. We friends on Venmo now, so good. Yeah.
I was gonna say one other thing about the JK Dobbins situation, just to kind of add a little fuel to the fire of him actually coming to the Chargers. So RJ Mickens actually got the number 27 jersey. They switched that jersey number to 41 for him and kept 27 open.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So it's like, hey man, if you're gonna come back, come on back. And once again, maybe JK Dobbins was like, hey, I just don't want to go through training camp. Let me just get to that point of like June, July, and then we'll sign kind of thing. Like, and to be honest, a guy like that is probably just wants to rehab his body, get him fresh, ready to go from training camp. So, and I think it's something that happens.
Yeah, he already knows the offense. So.
Exactly. He already knows the system.
Yeah. Well, and my other thought on that too is this: like, guys, 3 running backs is a good problem to have in the NFL. Like, I don't understand. And now you might say, well, it's going to piss off Najee or whatever. Look, whatever, dude. He's going to get paid his money. You know, so what? He's going to stay healthy. He'll have an ability to sign somewhere else, and we can sign him long term.
Yep.
You know, so I'm just saying that's a good problem to have.
Yep. Theory.
All right, theory.
My guy, $9.99. Appreciate the super chat, my guy.
Nice. Yes, sir. That's what's
Love
up.
it. Love it.
So do you think we make a play for Jaylen Ramsey? I
did a video
over the top, dude, if that happens, but I don't know. Andrew, what do you think?
So I did a video on this. We are going to be talking about what Jesse Minter just said recently. So I'm going to give you a little appetizer on what we're going to talk about. That we don't play a lot of zone, we don't play a lot of man. Jaylen Ramsey is a man corner. He's a cover lockdown corner. My point in saying this is I don't think he fits what we've done in the past. But what Jesse Minter said is, well, we haven't really had man cover corners, right? So arguably we would change the defense if we had a guy like Jaylen Ramsey. But to land my plane, no, I don't think we're going to go out for Jaylen Ramsey. Because he's 30-some years old or whatever, and he has got a huge price tag. I think it's like $20-some million, something like that. So,
and I think you could essentially just take him in for 1 year and let him walk after that too, and cut it and be cap savings too. But and once again, that could be the Joe Ortiz philosophy. Let a guy walk to get some comp picks, and you would get potentially a high comp pick. Some team might overpay for him, kind of thing. So, we'll see. But I'm
gonna counter that. I'm gonna counter that though, and I say,
you're gonna.
I say 100%. We could make a play for Jaylen Ramsey.
We totally can.
1,000%.
Oh yeah, for sure we can.
And I'm gonna kind of add also put a little sandwich on this thing. That it's right that Keenan Allen may also be part of that as well. And I say, and I've been saying this for a while now. I think we can get both of them. But we'd wait for a playoff run situation. So we would wait towards the late season to be like, okay, hey, we're in the playoffs. We need a little bit extra help. Here's, absolute veteran minimum contract for them to get into the playoffs with us, to do this final ride. I think it's very possible that can happen. And for both Keenan and Jaylen Ramsey. I think that'd be a good way to go do it too.
I do want to say that number 13 jersey was given to one of the undrafted free agents, and I don't remember who it was. So Keenan would have to either pay a dude a couple $1,000 to get his jersey back, which is going to be nothing for him. But 2, I mean, it fits like a glove to add another guy like that. And I will say the whole thing about the Jaylen Ramsey addition, and say you get the Keenan Allen. I always feel you need to make bold moves to be able to take those big leaps. And if you go out there and just make sure and solidify your wide receiver group is great and your corner group is great and your defense got better, you got to make those bold moves. And I'm a big fan of that. And we'll see.
This is a big contract, guys. That's a lot, Now how it gets eaten up, who knows? But again, they're boys. Clearly Jaylen Ramsey and Derwin James, DJ, they love each other. So I don't know. We'll see. Look, anything could happen, but look, the Dolphins are going to be, lack of a better term, hot garbage next year. I think. I mean, I don't see them doing anything at all.
I agree.
So anyhow, my point is, like, we'll see how it plays out. I would love to have him personally because it would be nice to have a lockdown corner. You can play a little bit different defense,
Sure.
when he's in.
Yeah.
But, again, he's also 31 years old with a really big contract. I mean, again, why did we lose Joey Bosa? Because he had a really big contract and he wasn't performing to that contract. And so I just don't know that we're going to go after people like that in free agency in most cases, just because it's very hard to make the numbers work, right? So, and they probably want to pay someone like, oh my gosh, our left tackle. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? Rashawn Slater.
Yeah.
Rashawn Slater. Yeah. So, that's money that could be going out the door for someone like him. So anyhow,
I was going to just point out HH4 and me are on the same point. We're on the same level.
Right. Point.
I don't know if that's something to
I don't know if that's a good thing.
to brag about, James. HH4 he's very much pessimistic and negative a lot of times. So yeah, just saying.
He did give a very good rating on the draft this time. So this
that's true. Yeah.
So that's good. But I'm just saying, make big moves to make big leaps. Bottom line, I'm all about that. So
yeah, HH4. What would you say our record's going to be this year? Because
that's a good one.
I think we're going to be 11.
He's usually pretty good. He's usually pretty good on it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm kind of curious. I think 11-6 makes sense.
Yeah, I think our record per Jim Harbaugh on the Rich Eisen show. He said, it's funny to me because I visualize what he said in this, and then what I'm going to point out is waking up in the middle of the night at 3:30, and I got to get Justin Herbert to the Hall of Fame. What does that take? I got just think about his wife, and she's like sleeping over there, and you hear this dude over here. I got to get Justin Herbert to the Hall of Fame. He's like,
I know. I'm thought about that too.
What the hell is going on here?
Yeah, what is this dude's deal, dude? But bottom line, when he said that, he's like, obviously, I need to get him to a couple Super Bowls, win a couple Super Bowls, all that stuff. You just got to love that you have a head coach that thinks football all this time, 24/7. How can I be better for my players? Mm-hmm. And how can I get my players to be these elite players? And bottom line, like Jim Harbaugh, if he wins a Super Bowl with the Chargers, he's an absolute legendary coach at that point. He is basically going to get Justin Herbert to the Hall of Fame, essentially, as long as his trajectory keeps going the way it is. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is, when Jim Harbaugh got hired with the Chargers, one thing I love that he said is, I need to be better for my players.
Yes. Yeah.
I need to coach them and be better coach for them.
Yeah.
And I love to hear that, like, I need that desire to be better for these guys to succeed. And he just exudes that enthusiasm unknown to mankind all the time. And I love to see that with him. And bottom line, I love to always hear Rich Eisen and Jim Harbaugh. They're like best buds. And, obviously Michigan man and everything too.
Yeah. By the way, look at the little tables they got on the side here. They goes like what is that? Elk horn? It's not elk horn, but a little horn from an animal.
Right
there.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of crazy. I just barely know. I watched this whole thing, and I thought that was pretty interesting. No, but look, again, adults in the room. Every single team in the AFC West has adults in the room. You couldn't say that about the Raiders last year. I thought that was a mess.
Right.
You could definitely say it about the Chargers now. The Raiders now have actually a good GM. They drafted well. The Broncos look good. Everyone's ranking their draft like crazy. They are just all over them right now. And then it's kind of funny that everyone's like, the Chiefs, their draft was weird. They traded up, 5 times in that draft?
Yeah.
Crazy to me. I was like, what the hell? That was nuts.
Yeah, doing a lot of
crazy. Moves. And I know the Texans were one that traded back multiple times. They came in, I think, with 6 draft picks, and they ended with 9 because they traded back so many times. It's crazy to see that. But they want to build out the roster with as many players as they can. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Actually, no, Chris B actually had the you can do this comment. And then Chris B has a great comment for the coaches. Actually, I agree with this one a lot more.
We don't have any home field advantage. I don't know. Last year was pretty good. It wasn't too bad. We went to quite a few games. It wasn't bad.
The Ravens game in particular shocked me.
Yeah,
it was quiet when the Chargers were on offense. And it was loud when they were on the defense. And I was like, I haven't heard this for a very, very long period of time. So I think, to be honest, it's growing a lot. And to be honest, it's really because of Jim Harbaugh, in my opinion, too.
100%.
Adding a guy like that. It was the other day, I think it was last Saturday. I was at a restaurant wearing my Jim Harbaugh jersey, and this girl comes up to me and she's like, "Oh, I just want to say, like, I really love your jersey." And she was like the manager of the restaurant or whatnot. And she's like, "I'm a big Jim Harbaugh fan, big Michigan fan, so I'm a big Chargers fan now too."
Cool.
The thing about it is, it's just like Harbaugh brings that lore to the team. He brings that adult to the room. It brings that legendary guy for a lot of fans out there. And so I think that's what really builds this whole team well. It makes this team more, people more enthusiastic about the Chargers.
Yeah.
And so I think it's great to have Jim Harbaugh here. But bottom line, I loved that interview that he had at Rich Eisen, and just that one point of just, hey, we got to get this team to the Super Bowl. We got to go win some Super Bowls. We got to make some things happen here too. And so,
well, I was going to say this about this is that, the one thing that Harbaugh can do in order to ensure Herbert gets into the Hall of Fame and also himself is win a Super Bowl for the Chargers. 100%. That's 100%. Be the first to get the Chargers to the Super Bowl and win.
Yeah.
That solidifies them into the Hall of Fame. 100%. Like 100%. It has to. It has to.
And Harbaugh wants to do that too, by the way.
Yeah.
So like, and HH4, and once again, I could understand the whole idea behind the Spanoses, and I thought it was interesting during the draft that John Spanos was a lot more conversation.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah.
And so I'm sorry to take your thunder there for a little bit, but I think things are shifting a little bit within the organization. And the one thing I will say, yes, the Spanos is leaving San Diego. It's debatable. Was it a good move or a bad move?
No.
And there's a lot of ways I could take that. And it's not like they didn't do it for a lack of trying to. They tried for 12 plus years, I believe, to try to get something solidified. Obviously, who didn't want to pay this, that, and everything? A lot of things you could go with. But the one thing about the Spanos is I think that they do allow to not be a micromanager. They're not a Jerry Jones kind of guy. They are like, hey, we're going to allow our coaches to do their jobs. And, I was reading basically the Chargers, one of the owners, past owners from the 70s, 80s, in his book. One thing he talked a lot about is allowing them to do their jobs, because you're not the expert. They're the experts.
Yeah.
You're just the money man behind this thing, and let them do their job.
Right.
Think about your individual job. If somebody else is going to be like, hey, I could do this better than you, and the manager always going to do something over you and not allow you to do your job, then like, what am I here for, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
The one thing I would also add to that too, as far as the owners are concerned, right? I mean, you could have maybe made that argument H4 a couple of years ago when they had Brandon Staley. We are literally paying Harbaugh. What is he, the third or fourth highest paid? Like, our staff is gigantic compared to what it was.
Oh yeah.
Right. That facility cost $150 million, right? And they have spent the money, right? So you kind of can't make that argument anymore at all. You could have made it a while ago. But they're putting their money where their mouth is, So, and the one other thing I was just going to say, John Harbaugh looks like he's running the organization now.
Yeah.
Remember, but the good thing about it too for me in this situation is that he was also a scout, and he was elevated the entire time. So he's been through the entire process, and that's probably why he's the now quote unquote owner. And
good to know. I didn't realize that he was a part of the scouting side of the thing too. So
yeah.
So. I'll say this though, it's like on that note. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people can agree with this one for sure, but I think Dean just kind of like, he was just happy for the paycheck. He didn't ever really want the team, but I think his son John is actually like, yeah, I really want this, Yeah, he's really stepping up about it. Like, Dean has always just been like, I like the money, I think that's been his thing,
Yeah. But either way now, look, they're spending money, man, and they're doing it the right way. Like, I love the way that Hortiz is actually building out this roster. I think they filled every need they wanted in free agent, and then again, the ice cream cherry on top is what they got in the draft. These are the young guys that they're going to bring through. I mean, here you go, perfect slide. So
perfect slide.
Amazing.
And in the chat, look at what we parted ways with, and essentially JK Dobbins could potentially come back to what we added to this team. Like,
you should underline that one or put a little star next to that
Oh
one.
yeah,
But don't mess it up, bro. Don't mess it
I'm
up.
gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it there, dude. I'm leaving it there. But all I'm saying is that what we added to this team is much more higher amount of talent that we've added to this team. Youth on top of that too. And you got guys that are basically going to make this team a lot better than what it was last year. And we still won 11 games last season, guys. Now, the schedule is going to be very difficult this season, especially the home schedule is going to be very difficult. But you can't judge the 2025 schedule to the 2024 teams. We're all different going into this season. But I do think that we have basically 2 running backs can essentially close out games now for us late in the games. We could basically tear down a defense and get them all wrecked and tired by fourth quarter is what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Even if Jim Harbaugh in the interview, he talked about that too. He said, look, man, would you much rather have a defense that has to go out after every 3 and out, or would you have a 12 play offensive play where you could have 7 to 10 minutes break on the sidelines? Ultimately, he wants long drives to basically tire out their defense. And in the fourth quarter, you could just beat them down with your running backs. Like, it's a little bit of Marty Ball mentality, but at the same side, this team is built out with really, really good players all around. And offensively, Justin Herbert has as many weapons as you could possibly give him right now, possibly even a couple more to make him even more better, which is what Jim Harbaugh even said, more better. He wasn't even sure if that's a real word. And I don't think it is a real word. More better.
More better.
More better. So we could have basically a much stronger offense all around for him. So it's great to see that we got a team that wants to surround Justin Herbert to have a ton of talent around him. So
you got a Rondé, we got a good pass catching tight end, Rondé Gatson. Then you got Keandre Lambert-Smith, I think is good too. We got 2 burners on the team too. And
with long arms. You got to love that.
It's amazing. And I don't know, like I don't see any holes in this team. And I personally haven't even paid attention a whole lot to the undrafted free agents. I mean, I just feel like even in the draft, I really don't know how many people from the undrafted free agent side actually even make the squad, right? Because we already had people on the practice squad that arguably they like. They're going to have to fight for a practice squad spot, and that's going to be competitive as well. So
crazy.
Just saying, like, it's going to be really hard, man. I just think it's going to be really, really hard. So I don't know. It's going to be good. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
And the one thing too, and I look at to your point, I don't think we got a whole heck of a lot of holes on this team right now. Now I view and think 2026 draft and free agency. What would we really need? Maybe linebacker, maybe some D line, maybe a right guard or a left guard, I should say. Obviously 2025 season will tell us a lot about what are the needs of 2026, but that's where like that whole conversation about going after my guy from Ramsey from the Dolphins. If we feel like we have enough guys on this team that potentially could be by 2026, we don't have a whole lot of needs in the draft. That's where draft capital becomes expendable at that point, where you could go after a guy like that. So yeah, I mean, once again, who knows? And I'm not the GM here, but at the same side, if we have a stacked roster where a lot of these guys hit, say 40%, 50% of these guys hit for us, dude, there's not going to be a lot of needs in the draft at this point.
Well, I mean, I even like our 7th round picks too, the 2 cornerbacks. Those guys are both good. Anyways, we can talk more about it. Go ahead, Kyle. I know you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's like, well, I would say this though too is like, I mean, remember, like a lot of our players that we signed, like in the veterans, of course, are only 1-year deals.
Exactly.
So, so I was just gonna say the same thing.
Yeah. So that's just the thing too. It's like, so obviously we're going to have a lot of gaps to fill and next off season, but we're not even worried about that right now. That's all it is. So, but I'll say this.
He's blowing a gasket over here. I tell you what.
But I'll also say
he's my guy.
That does make us have a problem in the future because we keep signing these 1-year deals. We're gonna have to eventually like get a whole new team and like in an off season. And like that is a bit of a concern that I have about this philosophy that we're going into. Like, oh yeah, we're just only 1-year deal, 2-year deals at the most, because remember that Gus Edwards was a 2-year deal that he had, and they let him go. And like, so we could have kept him and not gone so heavy on running backs, but that's just it, So
yeah. But Gus Edwards had health concerns, and he was not getting.
Sure.
In fact, I don't think he even signed yet.
Yeah, he's still undrafted.
Yeah, he's still undrafted.
Undrafted, I don't think is the right word, but picked up.
Yeah, it's his injuries were just piling up, and that's why we let him walk. Now, I will one last thought. I think that this is a good point by H4, hidden DB talent. You could argue that that's a position we can be a little light in as well too, because our pass rush was so good. I mean, Khalil Mack, I think he was top 5 in pressures, right? So he's back this year. So I can argue that if he had the same year as he had last year, we're good. We don't need to worry about it because you got Thule on one side, Mack on the other, and we'll see what Dupree can do, which he's okay, not great. But who knows? Kyle Kernard, his highlight was pretty damn good, dude. Like not the best run stopper. He doesn't set the edge exactly, but when you put him in like a NASCAR package or some sort of just speed rush package on third down, he's very north and south, man. So I'm just saying, like, you could get away with not having the best defensive backs, and zone works very well when you're putting block destruction and pressures on a QB. So that's one argument that I'll have.
And to say Mark Davis's point here, we extend players 1-year deals if right. So think about it with Tier Tart.
Correct.
Perfect example.
Or
guy Elijah Molden. You extend him out. So like it's about finding those guys that fit what you're looking for. And to Jesse Minter's interview that he had on Chargers Weekly, he kind of talked a lot about that with like players and filling out the roster and getting the right guys on this team. And I think really getting a system fit type thing. And I think that's really what Jesse Minter is very, very good at, finding the guys that fit well for him. To Andrew's point earlier on, if you want to talk a little bit about what we talked about with the man coverage versus zone coverage.
My points are always hard hitting. You know that.
This guy, dude.
They're always legendary.
Yeah, more like this.
Whatever.
But and the thing is though, that I love that he said in here, he said, hey, look, I want teams to sleep on us to think that we're not a man team, like a man team. So like, once again, things could shift around. Teams could shift off season. Player packages could change out a little bit too. Game to game situations could change out too. I think Jesse Minter has an idea of what he wants out of his players, and he gets the best out of each player too. Now, I'm going to say one thing about the Kyle Kernard thing about not being a good run stopper. Cool. I totally get it. But I think, once again, they're going to let him run when he needs to run. Say like a 3rd and long situation.
Yeah.
Where, hey, let him just go. Let him be a dog. He'll be taught. And I believe it might have been in the Jesse Minter interview. He did say, hey, look, he might not be the best at run, but we'll get that worked out. Once again, he is the top defensive player in the SEC. And when that list that we showed of all the players, the top players from SEC are high-level first-round picks. Kyle Kernard will get things figured out. He's going to be in a veteran room with a lot of experience that he's going to get taught a lot of things. So I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, and again, the whole Mike Green thing, sexual assault allegations, all this and that, I think they just avoided that issue 100%. I don't even believe – I'm going to make a very clear statement. I don't think we're going to hire. We're not going to select or pick up any players that have off the field issues at all. Jim Harbaugh is not going to deal with that. Yep. So he would rather have a guy that's not as good than a guy that is amazing. I mean, like a good example, everyone keeps talking about Tyreek Hill. I'm like, dude, he's not coming to the Chargers. No, not going to happen. And, look, you can argue he's fast as hell. Yeah, but he's also cares about himself. He showed selfish behavior, and that's not what is going to happen with the Chargers. It'll happen with the Raiders. It'll happen with other teams that want to play and maybe make a splash.
Yeah.
But it won't happen with the Chargers because that's just not how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. But I do think that one other point about the Jesse Minter interview that I really loved is that he brought up Justin Aboigbe specifically. And he said, hey, look, Justin Aboigbe last year essentially was kind of the red shirt freshman, if you want to say.
Yeah.
They were getting things worked out, give him kind of a year to understand the NFL and everything too. And obviously we talked about his injury situation with the neck and everything too.
Yeah.
But bottom line, he's like, look, he gained 20 plus pounds in the offseason. He's going to be a guy that's going to be a bigger part of this defense. Also, you could even put out Junior Colson is going to be a bigger part of this defense too. I was concerned that we didn't go after a linebacker just to add more there, but you got Troy Dye, you got Dan Henley, you got Denzel Perryman, you got Junior Colson. Those guys hit. Just remember what the 2024 draft was for us if those guys hit. Say this year they both hit. Right. That draft is ridiculous. Now you think the same thing for about the 2025. Let's say 50% of these guys hit. Dude, you're just killing it again. Like that's where like I go back to that draft capital conversation. If you fill out this team with draft capital guys that you have for the long period of time, you hit on back-to-back drafts, dude, draft capital is expendable at that point. You could go after those other bigger players, but it's exciting to see what this team can be and will be.
Yeah, going back to that 1-year contract conversation too. Look, if you're a NFL player and you're not getting flowers on your team, maybe you didn't get as many snaps, and the Chargers come saying, "Hey, man, we kind of want you. You fit our scheme."
Yep,
dude. Why wouldn't you want to go to the Chargers for 1 year, prove a deal? I fit in the system perfectly. You're the perfect guy for what we're doing. I mean, look at Poona Ford. Do you know how many people like said he's going to suck and he's not going to help with you guys at all? We heard that all the time. Yeah, he's horrible. He's horrible. And I'm like, no, dude, I think he's perfect. He's a perfect run stopper. And dude, he got his bags. My point is, you can get guys that fit the system. And just like Jesse Minter said, Benjamin St. Juste and Jackson.
Jackson.
Right. Yeah, Jackson. I mean, I'm just saying that if you're an NFL player, a 1-year deal with the Chargers is a lot better than going to the Panthers or, a team that's rebuilding, right? Because you're not going to, players can shine. Mark Davis said, there you go. That's exactly what I was trying to say. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that.
That's a big point too. It's like, so I was in the back of my head, I'm thinking this is like, how funny it's going to be when Poona Ford shows up to the Rams and everyone expects him to be like, as good as he was with the Chargers, but he's going to totally flop because he was a better system fit here with the Chargers and under Jesse Minter's coaching as opposed to Sean McVay and I don't know whoever the defensive coordinator is over there. So like
Rams got one of the best D lines in the league.
Yeah, they're going to be solid this year. Dude. They're going to be good.
They do. Yeah. But I'm like, maybe because Poona Ford, he had a career year with the Chargers. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is that just
it's hard to replicate that for sure.
Yeah, it's hard to replicate that. So like I'm that's what I'm saying is that so I don't know if it's going to be a repeat year with him. Yes, they have a great defense over there, but that's just it. Like it's I will definitely laugh at their face if they if Poona does not perform as well. It's like, hey, you did good for us.
Yeah, for their face. But I mean, once again, Deshaun Hand, I think, has a chance that he could be something pretty special in this defense.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, Tier Tart could be very, very good. Once again, I love his nastiness. I think the X factor of this whole D line is going to be Jamari Caldwell. Like, if he becomes that plug for this team and that guy that demands a double team, which is one thing that Joe Hortiz and I want to even say Jesse Minter talked about, if he could be that guy that demands two people to be on him, that D line is going to be nasty. It's going to be a nasty D line with the Chargers. So I'm trusting the system. And the system worked out well last year with a lot of 1-year guys, and it worked out well. Remember, one of the top defenses in the league and top in scoring defense.
So interestingly, one thing about Jamari Caldwell, I know we don't want to talk about this anymore, but the one thing about Jamari Caldwell is he was next to Hampton, and everyone was all over Hampton, right? And
Harmon.
Yeah, and Jesse Minter talked,
by the way.
Yeah, I know another exchange. But I think it was him. Was it him or was it Joe Hortiz that talked about it? He said, look, the thing is, when he was with Houston, they wanted him to also get sacks. And so he got more sacks in Houston. Yep. But in Oregon, they didn't want him to. Well, I wouldn't say that. They pretty much made the other players look. Harmon. I keep saying Hampton. I don't know why I keep saying Hampton. So Harmon looked good, and he got more sacks, right? So he made him look good, right? So you can make the argument that really Jamari made Hampton look good. Harmon. God, I keep saying Hampton. He makes him look good. So again, it goes back to system fit. That's just another great example of what we want. And again, the whole point of the defensive line isn't sacks. It's about block destruction, double teams.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know, if you got 5 guys on the line and your 2 defensive linemen block 4 guys, guess what? You're at the plus advantage on your edge rushers, and he's going to get to the quarterback. So, anyways, it's like that's kind of where we're at this point. So we'll see. It's all going to be figured out in camp for sure.
No doubt. And I can't wait for camp to come here, man. Cannot wait.
So, but next up is the schedule release, though, guys. I think it'll be next week will be like just a little bit before the schedule release because it's going to be on the 14th. Yeah.
10 days from now, we'll know what the schedule is. We'll know who the opponents are, what week, and everything too. So, and that's when we're probably going to, for the next week's live too, we'll probably just do kind of a walkthrough of like, hey, maybe we do a prediction show and see how close we could get to that. And then when the schedule does come out, which is obviously 10 days from now, we'll probably do a live show real quick on that, just to kind of go over the schedule and all that kind of fun stuff. So, but bottom line, guys, it's exciting to see the camp is opening. Players are showing up with the coaches. Rookie camp's happening. You know, players are there for off-season training. It's exciting, guys. We're closer to football. We are in May. We literally only have 2 months away till we start seeing football happening.
Isn't that crazy? That's freaking crazy.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
We're so close, guys. But we're excited about it, man. I mean, just my last thoughts is we got a coaching staff that knows what they're doing. We got a GM that knows what they're doing. We got an exciting 2025 football brand of Chargers football that's about to happen. And I think we're closer to what Harbaugh and Hortiz really wanted to get out of their teams, a big, tough, physical type team too. This draft hits, we're going to probably, I think personally, take a bigger leap this year than we anticipate. So, and I think the division is getting a lot tighter than we realize. So bottom line, I mean, can't wait for football. Can't wait for 2025. So let's get it, man. Let's go.
Yeah. Kyle, you want to give your final thoughts?
Sure, man. So, man, I'm excited for the coaches, and it just cracks me up that Harbaugh, wakes up in the middle of the night and says, a lot of those things that about Justin Herbert, so it kind of, in a lot of ways, it makes me wonder, what other things does he wake up in the middle of the night and say that we just don't know about,
right.
So, it's gonna be awesome, guys. I do feel like that Harbaugh can be the guy that does get us all the way and does get Justin Herbert to the Hall of Fame and potentially puts the Chargers in the books and gets us in that that trophy put in the freaking case, so that'll be freaking fantastic, man. So I'm excited for it, but I'm also looking forward to seeing the schedule release. So I just want to say it's maybe start putting some throws, throw some things out there. Who you guys think is going to be the week 1 opponent for us in Brazil? That'll be fantastic. And then maybe just throw who the home opener is going to be in LA. Just do that one. So that'll be a good one.
Week 2? Is that going to be week 3 or week 4? Because week 1 home is in Brazil.
Right. So
we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and good point here, Elliot. And I'll just say this: if we stay healthy, I think sky's the limit. Right? That's where Ben Herbert comes into play. I think last year when we drafted, they didn't know what they had, right? They had people on a team, and they're like, all right, we're just go get a pre. We're always going to be active in free agency. I think it was 5 and 6. I think it was 5 offensive players, maybe 6 offensive players and 5 defensive players we signed in free agency. My point is, I think we're going to be active in free agency every year. I think they like the 1-year contracts because guess what? We get comp picks when they walk. And so comp picks means more draft picks. And that means more, we're cycling through people. And then people who earn a longer contract, Elijah Molden, Tara Tart, guess what? They get it. And then it's also getting people to want to come to the Chargers. Hey, man, you fit our system. Anyways, I just think we're ready to go. I think this is going to be an amazing season. It's going to be really interesting to see who actually makes the squad and who even makes the practice squad. I think there's going to be some people walking. Man, guys, we might be seeing the last of, I hate to say it, Brendan Rice might be gone, and we might be seeing some of these guys that we really liked that just are not going to have a spot, So, look, I think it's a stack roster. I think there's a lot of good we can talk about, and cannot wait for football to get here, man. It's going to be exciting.
Can't wait, man. So, once again, competitors welcome, and we're excited about what this 2025 season's all about. And Elliot, man, you're the best, dude. But we appreciate you guys tuning in once again on a Sunday. we're not too far away from Sunday football once again, and cannot wait for that. So once again, during the week, we're going to do some videos. We'll do some random topics and everything too, and we'll keep you guys informed about Chargers football. So
100%.
Always.
All righty, guys.
All right, guys.
Go Bolt Bros.
Bolt Bros.
Bolt Bros.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Hey, what's up? Cameron Dick here watching Bolt Bros podcast.